So today's video, we're going to be taking a look at, not Bionicle, not the best in the background, Starfruit. I wish you were here right now to smell this. It smells so good. And something I neglected to mention when I was talking about what this smells like, a pineapple too, just a little bit. But it's absolutely there. I compared the smell of it a little bit to raspberry as well, which I still stand by. But raspberry, there's something very special about that. It's one of my personal favorite smelling fruit, if that's a thing. And this is similar, but it is different. And I think pineapple is one of the ways it's different. Because I mentioned in that video, it had a little bit of a citrusy smell. And I think I was confusing it for that sort of pineapple uniqueness. Now, I've talked in a previous video about something called a pineberry, and maybe I'll talk about that one more towards the end of this video. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and just cut right into this so you can see a beautiful cross-section. Of course, if you like this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. It's very different from what I typically do on the channel. So your likes, your subscribes really tells YouTube that you like this type of content, and it makes sure that it shows it to more people, which helps. All right. So I'm going to just cut this open. One thing that you can do is you can actually cut these brown edges off. Those are perfectly fine, by the way. It's actually a pretty good marker of how ripe it is going to be because that brown color will sort of spread along those ridges. And I just wish you could smell it. But yeah, so you can cut those off beforehand. You can cut them off afterward. They can tend to be a bit tough, which is usually why people will cut them off. And I've mentioned as well, it's so juicy too. I mentioned as well in a previous video, and I just want to show you this without even cutting a slice out of it. Just look at how gorgeous that is. Look at how gorgeous. I love it. Oh, and it smells so good on the inside too. When you cut it open, it also has a little bit of like an apple smell that's not really there when you smell it from the outside of the fruit, which is something I've noticed with a lot of fruit too. Here in Missouri, for example, we actually have a native fruit here called a pawpaw, and it smells incredible from the outside. I'm not a very big fan of pawpaws though, and you'll probably see them pop up here on the channel later on in the year when they're in season, because they do grow like right near my house. But they have a little bit of a funk to them, and I just, it's not a flavor I can do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a slice out of this, and it looks like this one actually has very few seeds. These can be quite seedy fruit, and the seeds are reasonably large. So honestly, if you pop it in your mouth, you're probably just going to like chew around the seed and just spit the seed out. I don't know if it's safe to eat the seed, so I'm just going to say don't. And of course, as I mentioned in previous videos, you can even kind of peel it, which is pretty cool. As I mentioned in previous videos, if you have issues with like your kidneys, if you're someone susceptible to, kidney stones or anything like that, best to avoid the fruit. It does contain oxalic acid, which can cause some problems if you're somebody with sensitive kidneys or have like kidney disease, anything like that. Anybody else though should be pretty much fine to eat it. So I'm peeling it not because it's necessary, but because it's just proven to be very easy to do. So I'm like, why not? But yeah, just peeling those brown edges off the corners, or you can take your knife and just cut those corners off just fine. The texture of the skin on it, as I've mentioned again in another video, but I should assume you haven't seen it yet, it's kind of similar to cucumber in texture. So that's probably the most similar thing I can relate it to. At least the skin texture is. And yeah, it just smells so good. And it has a little bit of a lemony, so I wasn't completely wrong to say that it smells like citrus. It has a little bit of a lemon kind of thing smell to it too. Anyway, I'm just gonna eat it. Good. Milder than some I've had in the past. Very juicy. Very juicy fruit. Oh, it's so delicious too. It's mild, but it's like a refreshing mild. It's just a refreshing fruit in general. In fact, this is probably something I'd recommend refrigerating just so you get that cool burst to it, because I think they'd really benefit from that. Again, in a similar way to how cucumbers give you kind of a cool sort of feel to them. It does have some similarities to cucumber, but not in a vegetal way, and it doesn't taste like cucumber at all. Maybe there's a little bit of something similar, but that's probably just me picking up on like watermelon flavors, which are actually pretty common in fruits that I've found. And watermelon is, fun fact, related to cucumber, actually pretty closely related to cucumber as well. So where I live in Missouri, yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And it's mild, like I said, but I have had others of these that have a really strong flavor to them, and the flavor is delicious. So let me describe it. As I mentioned, there is a little bit of a watermelon kind of taste there. I wouldn't say it's cucumber taste like at all, but I could see it if that was something that you were trying to pick up on. It has a little bit of maybe a green flavor like cucumber tends to have, but it's so, I'm reaching to say that. It definitely has a pear-like flavor for sure. This one especially. And it also has a kind of pear-like texture to it as well. It's better. I don't generally like pears very much, so it's definitely better than that. I like some varieties, but yeah, that's really good. And the skin is actually really nice on it too. It adds something appley to it. The skin does specifically. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I'd really suggest you try it. What I was going to say is, living here in Missouri, we actually have a lot of fruit that are native here. It's surprising because you don't hear a lot about fruits that are native from America, because America is a significant grower of non-native fruits. We grow a lot of apples and oranges and peaches and things like that here that aren't typically native. We do have some native species of some of those things, but for all intents and purposes, a lot of what is native here has been kind of lost culturally, lost to time. But thankfully, especially with the age of the internet, people have been getting more and more into sort of an awareness for native fruits, native plants in general. And one thing that grows here, and honestly, in a lot of places all over the world, is mulberries. The reason I wanted to mention that is because I mentioned watermelon. I like mulberries because, and they'll probably be in their own separate video in the future as well, because they have such a variety of flavors. And if you've never had a mulberry, they look like a blackberry sort of, but they're more elongated than that. But they're not related to blackberries at all. They're actually related more closely to like figs, to jackfruit, if you've ever had that, which is also absolutely delicious. There's a whole family of fruit. Osage orange is another fruit that it's related to, but not really like an edible fruit. Not going to touch too much on that, though. Maybe we'll look at it on the channel in the future, since it also grows here. Anyway, suffice to say, I mentioned it specifically because mulberries are also a type of fruit that I think a lot of people try and don't like, because they have one that's like really sour, but there's a lot of variety to them. And one that I have found specifically, actually two that I found in pretty close proximity to each other, within maybe 100 feet or so, have some really interesting flavors to them, including one that tastes identical to watermelon, and another one that tastes like a banana and a grape mixed together. So pretty cool either way. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of really exceptional plants out there, exceptional fruits out there. Another thing that this reminds me of, just in terms of the shape of it, especially with the brown ridges, is cocoa, which is, fun fact, a fruit. And also, at least to me, cocoa fruit tastes a lot like watermelon too, but better in my opinion. So yeah, very delicious. Highly recommend going out and trying it. You can see a seed in there, and I'll go ahead and dig one out for you just so you can see it. Hopefully videos like this won't be quite so long in the future. I don't plan on making these fruit videos as long as the main content on the channel, but sometimes it's relevant. And yeah, it's kind of hard for me to get it out, but there is a seed right there on the side of the fruit, just so you can see the size of it. So decent sized seed. And again, because I'm not aware if you can eat them, I would just say don't bother, skip them. They come out very easily. So when you slice them, they're fairly soft too. When you slice them, you probably slice through them, and you just can like push them out with the tip of your knife or push them out with your thumb, and you're good to go. So yeah, that's it for Starfruit. Highly recommend them. Very, very delicious. Mild, but sometimes with strong flavor, and the flavor is good. It's very good. It smells amazing. Probably one of my favorite smelling fruits, so maybe one of yours. And of course, if you enjoyed this type of content and you want to see more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe. As mentioned, it really helps out the channel. In fact, it's the best possible thing you can do for the channel. But if you want to join the conversation, if you've tried this fruit or other fruits, then let me know in the comments below. Or if you want to take the conversation further, you can check out the Discord, Instagram, or Patreon if you want to support the channel and get some perks. And that's all in the description. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.